Welcome everyone to Data Toboggan Cool Warning 2022. It's truly an honor to have all of you here, and thank you to all organizers for giving me a chance to be part of this event. As you guys know, my presentation is leverage PowerShell to provision Azure Synapse resources, but this is a beginner level. What I'm going, the session is all about demo, right? I just have to introduce myself, and then there will be one more slide to go over with you. Who am I? I am Jean-Joseph, based out of New Jersey, originally from IT, as you can see. I've been in IT for over 19 years. I started my career as a network administrator while supporting data team. I love how they do things. I moved to database administration and development. Okay, while supporting data engineering team, now data science team, I love how they do things and I moved to data engineering team. I am a former Microsoft MVP, data community builder. For those who don't know me, I'm the founder and the main organizer of Data Driven Community. Under Data Driven Community, we have Cloud Data Driven and we have Feature Data Driven. We also have a third one. It's not stable, but we do meet sometimes, which is called IT Management and Leadership. We created this user group to support those who are very strong when it comes to the technical work, but does not have enough soft skills. After they get promoted, the performance drop down, we created this user group to support these people. If you fall under one of them, feel free to scan this barcode. You will be able to connect with our community, and then from there, you will get notified. And if you want to connect with me, feel free to connect here. I'm currently working as a Microsoft technical trainer. These are my 4 kids. Whenever I have free times, I always take them out. They love to go out and eat, as you can see. Uh, this is my 3 boys and 1 stepdaughter. On my free times, I love fishing as well. And I love audiobooks and movies. Yep. So enough about me. So let me go straight to what we're supposed to do for today. And then this is 100% demo. And I like to keep this presentation very interactive. Uh, in order for you to leverage PowerShell to provision your Azure Synapse, there will be a prerequisite. So first of all, you have to install the module. As you can see, this is what I am about to do now. I'm installing some modules. Why am I doing it? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to execute the script because it will take a second for the execution to be completed. To complete, however, right, I will walk you through the code either way. So, yep. Give me 1 second. If you're looking at here, for me to create Azure resources, I will need to import AZ resources. And for me to connect to Azure Synapse, I will need to install the module of AZ Synapse. Okay, and then Synapse workspace rely on Azure Data Lake. So I will need to install AZ storage for me to be able to install storage. And also I will need access a way to connect to SQL Server, right? So now that's the module I have to install. However, if you don't mind, you feel like you need all the module, you are free to install this, right? But me, just for the demo, I install every module that I know I will need. So now, once you're done installing all your modules, you will need to set up a connection. This is what I'm doing here. So if you're looking at here, let me turn off my camera in case if this is what taking. It should take probably 1 or 2 seconds. No, it's taking forever. So while this is going on, if you're looking at what I'm doing here, I'm connecting. The reason why I have this parameter is that I have multiple subscriptions and I do not want any warning. You understand? So this is what it's doing here. Let me see if the connection is done. So that's when I'm all set. I can come back here. So I'm gonna set the Azure context to my subscription. That's what I'm doing here. Okay. Let me execute this. So now my Azure subscription is set to this. First, I can create the workspace even though if the storage is not exist, right? But you know, just to make the demo to bring more fun. So I'm gonna create my storage. This is the parameter that I am, you know, doing here, right? So I'm gonna create a resource group first of all. This is the resource group name, and then this is the location. Okay, let me execute it. So under that resource group, if I come here and I go back here, how can I remove this guy here? Give me 1 second. How can I remove this guy here from this portal? I will need it. Okay, perfect. Let's go back to this. Yep. So now, for me to be able to create the resources, I will need to set up my credential. This is what I'm doing here. Okay. Let me set up my credential. So I have a file, a CSV file where I have my username and password configured. How can I remove this guy? Okay, perfect. It's removed. So if I come back here, I come here, you will see we don't have that resource name. But if I refresh it, trust me, it is there. So you can clearly see we have something there that have no resource created. So now, I already set up my credential, as you can see. This is the script that's doing it. So now I am going to create my workspace and my storage account. This is my workspace. This is my storage. So let me define this variable. Okay, I'm going to execute this script and walk you through this script. Okay, if you're looking at here, what I'm doing here, you see this parameter. For me to create the data lake storage. So I want it to be within the same location with my user group, with my resource group. And this is the storage account name. Okay, and then this is the location where it's going to be its US2. Okay, this is the resource name. Sorry about that. And then I'm going a little bit, cheap, make it standard. And then I want it to be Gen 2, as you can see. Also, I want to enable the hierarchical namespace to make it a data lake. And I want to have allow blob public access. So if we come here now, we refresh this. we should see we have one storage now because we just created. We have one storage. Okay, so now, even though we do have the storage, if you pay close attention, because we will create data pipeline using PowerShell, and then we will also, for example, load the data from Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2 into Azure Synapse. If you're looking at here, we don't have any container created. If I click here, so you will see there is absolutely no container created. So it's loading. What I'm doing here, for me to create the container, I will need to use the connected account. I need that context. So now let's do this. Let me execute this because it will take a couple minutes to create some of the resources, and we only have 45 minutes. So I am, for example, use the connected account to get the storage account context, and I need the storage account key. This is what I'm doing here. Okay, and then this is, for example, the directory name. We can consider this as a container. This for you to create that container, you will need that context. So that's the script that will allow you to create that new container. I just changed the location because I want to upload some of the file. Okay, so for me to upload that file to that new container, I will need that context, the storage context as well. And then if we come here, you will see, for example, we didn't have any container, but if we refresh it, we just create one. We upload a file. Okay, the file that we uploaded is this one. So perfect. So now we have the storage. Okay. So what we need now is to create the Azure Synapse workspace. Okay, so let me execute this. So this way we all can be on the same page. What I'm doing here is that I am creating, giving that parameter value. So this is the Synapse workspace. This is the resource group. Okay, this is the default data lake storage account name. And then this one is the default data lake storage file system. That's the container we just created. We do not want to create it if it exists. In our case, it's brand new, but I still like to test to see if it exists. If it's not exists, we're gonna go and create a new workspace account, and then we will go and return, for example, all the connectivities. While the script is executing, if we refresh, if we go here, we refresh, for example, this page, and then we go to storage account, you will see it is being provisioned. Just give it a second. Okay, so these are all the URL. If you're looking at, this is the endpoint that I want to return. So the endpoint that will allow me to connect to dedicated endpoint, to serverless on-demand endpoint, and the development endpoint. If you're looking at here, it's saying that the resource is being provisioned. So we're gonna have to wait until this is completed for us to proceed. So the step is first to create the storage. Okay, the second step is to create Synapse workspace, because Synapse workspace need a storage for you to be able to create. While the script is executing, it might take one more minute. Are there any questions? If there are no questions, just wait until this is completed. However, if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop it. I'll be happy to go over your questions. It's just creating the resources. It might take, a couple more seconds or 1 or 2 more minutes. And then the same way we could have used the script to get the endpoint that we need. If we want to get the development endpoint, the dedicated endpoint, or even if we want to get, for example, the serverless endpoint. So if you're looking at here, this is created, correct? Yep. If we come back here, we refresh this, you will see that it is created. So now, the same way we get those, we could have come here and query this independently if we only need this. That's the same one we have here for the development, if you pay close attention. And then the same thing we can have here. And then you will see that for SQL, this is the same one that is here. So now when we creating it, we will need to give our local global IP address access to this one. So let me execute this, okay? And I will walk you through the script. What the script is doing is taking, for example, my IP address, okay? And I need the workspace, and I'm calling it my public IP, okay? And then it will need a location. This is the location, and I want everything to be on the same data center with my resource group, okay? It will need a resource group. I'm sorry, this is the resource group, and then this is the starting endpoint, and then this is the ending endpoint. So I want it to start from this IP address and end from this. If you're looking at here now, my computer have access to that. So now, guess what happened? Here, what I'm doing here, let me execute this. Will take 3 or 4 minutes. Let me execute this. If you're looking at here, so now we have the storage. We have the workspace, okay? So now what I'm creating now is a SQL pool. So I am calling that SQL pool Toboggan demo SQL pool, and I want to keep it, just to manage costs. Give it DW100C, and then this is the SQL collation. If you're looking at here, this is the Azure SQL pool, okay? This is the workspace where you will create, where you want to create your SQL pool. And then this is the performance level here, right? And then this is the collection here. And then this is the resource group. Under what resource group you want it to fall. So now here what I'm doing is I'm checking to see if that workspace exists. Okay, if that SQL pool from that workspace exists. If it's not, I want to create it, okay? So now if we go back, while we're waiting on that to finish, so what we can do, whatever I'm about to do, we do have some script at the end, but I want to do it live because I have seen some people post me about the kind of permission issue they have if they already had the storage account. So I have some script for you. However, I'm going to walk you, for example, to that. How can you give that storage access? This may not be the proper way to do it, but you guys can get some idea. So let me go back to my resource group. So what I'm about to do now is to grant that storage, that Azure Synapse workspace access to that storage. When I click on that storage, there's a couple things I'd like to do. Let me go to networking. just to okay, so what I'm doing here, yep, that's fine. I can add this one. So here I want to add my Azure Synapse workspace. Okay. When you're doing it, always apply best practices when it comes to security, guys. And then, yep. So just for the demo, I want to keep it simple. And then once this is done, I'm going to go ahead and create an identity for my, access control. Identity management. So I'm going to give that access. Just things are going a little bit slow. Let's see if the script is done. In the meantime, if you guys have any question, feel free to let me know. So what I'm doing here, I'm adding a wall. And I'm searching for blob. Okay. And I want to give it, for example, read, write, and delete access. Okay. And I want to create a manage identity and select this one. Again, this may not be the best way to do it, right? For the demo, I want to keep it simple. Yep. And then review and sign. So now our workspace do have access. Okay, now, so what we're going to do now while our script is executing is to access Synapse workspace. Let's go and access Synapse workspace. So it's launching. Just give it a couple seconds. In the meantime, if you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know. Let's see if the script is completed. It's still loading. Yep, it seems like the script is completed. So that's mean we are all set. So just wait until this is loaded. So the first thing we did, we create the storage, and then we create the Azure workspace. And then we give, for example, access. We give the Azure storage access, Azure workspace access to your data lake storage. And then after that, we create the SQL pool. Now we will create a data pipeline to load the data from data lake into your SQL pool. So let's this guy's done. If we're looking at here, when you access your Azure Synapse Studio, okay, so if we click on the data hub, what will you see? We will see workspace, and then we will see like, so that's mean, so for workspace, we already create a SQL pool. We will be able to access that SQL pool because the script is completed. We can clearly see. Okay, So this is done. I take a couple more seconds. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm not sure why this is so slow like that. Yep, we're almost there. You can clearly see we have one SQL database, okay, which is our physical data warehouse, correct? And then we don't have any table, you can clearly see, and also we do not have any link, any integration link, no integrated link. We only have link to our Azure Data Lake Gen 2, and then we can drill down and access our container. Give me one second. Yep. If we come here, if you're looking at, we can clearly see we can visualize the data if you want. Yep. But because we do not have time, so let's go and proceed. So now, if you're looking at here, we don't have any pipeline. Everything is empty. So now let's do some cool stuff. This is done. This is the same thing, for example. So now this is created just for the demo, guys, because I do not want anything to fail. That's just for the demo, okay, purpose. What I'm doing here is giving opening all kind of port to access my SQL pool, and I am creating this table to go, and I'm gonna create this table on my SQL pool. So now if I come back here to Data Hub, I come back here and I say refresh, I should be able, for example, to see I have a new table created. So if I query that new table, there must be no data there. Okay. If you're looking at, we don't have any data. So now, what I'm doing here, I am creating a CSV dataset. Okay, let's create that CSV dataset. So if you want to see the content on that, if we come here, we open this with Notepad, you will see the content. It is a link service reference. This is the name of the storage that granted to our Azure Synapse workspace. It is Azure Blob Storage location. You can see that file. And then this is, for example, the container that we created. This is the schema of the file. Very simple. So let's see if this is done. So we can clearly see this is done. So now if we come here, we refresh this, we will see that we have one link server, one link services, or if you give me one second, let's refresh it. Oh, sorry, I should refresh this one instead. Yep, that's fine. So now, once this is done, you will see that we have one thing. Yep, we could have created the same thing here. Let me show you this one. So we're gonna create a data set, a SQL pool data set. That's the script that can run, but I'll give you one second. This is still loading. It might take, a couple more seconds to complete. If you're looking at, we can clearly see we have an integration data set here that we just created. We could have done the same thing here, we say the integration data set, okay? And then we select, for example, Azure Synapse, SQL pool, and then we say continue, and then we call it this one, okay? And then we select your Synapse workspace, SQL pool, and then we select the table, and then we say okay. Yep. So perfect. So now when we say okay, all you have to do is to publish it. The good thing is when you're using PowerShell, you don't have to worry about that. So if you're looking at here, I have to publish it for me to be able to leverage it. Okay. So now it is published. So if we come here, you will see we don't have any data pipeline. So let's go and create one. So I'm gonna use this one just for info. While this is loading, I can get you more information. So I'm gonna go and create a data pipeline, and I'm calling that data pipeline demo Azure pipeline. Okay. So if you wanna go and take a look at the context, because I'm gonna share the script with you. This is the context script that this is the script, the template that will allow you to create it. As you can see, this is a SQL pool type. And then if you go to the reference, you can clearly see this. This is your SQL pool DW. Perfect. So for the template, if we go to the template, this is the template we currently executing. If you come here, you open it, you will see that you will get more information regarding what is going on. You can clearly see this is the source. It is a delimiter, okay, and then this is the schema, okay. If you're looking at here, right, it is referencing these two link services, one for the CSV, one for SQL, right? So let's see if this is done. Yep, it is done. Yep, you can clearly see it is done. So now if we go, we refresh this now, you should be able to see a new pipeline. Let's go and refresh this. Sure enough, we have a new pipeline. If we open that new pipeline, you can clearly see, for example, everything that we were seeing. Okay, so we have one copy activity. If we click on the copy activity, this is one of the cool stuff Amendo was talking about. You have the source, okay, and then you have the sink, which is destination if you come from SSIS, and then you have the mapping. You can see it's go and do the mapping automatically for you. You don't have to worry because you already have the template. You just execute it, right? And then you have all the setting and properties. But remember, when we create that table, we don't have any data. So if you're looking at, so now let's go and see if, let's go and execute that pipeline via PowerShell to load the data. If you remember, we have no data there. Okay. So now we have no data there. So now let's go and execute that pipeline. To run that pipeline, we have to invoke it. So when we invoke it, so that's mean it's doing the executions. We have the one IT, the one-time IT, doing the execution. So what would happen? It's gonna go and move that data from your data lake into your data warehouse. If we refresh this, give me 1 second. It's not seeing it yet, but just hold on. Okay, perfect. If you're looking at here, it is done already. And then if you pay attention, you can see it is the same one ID, and that's the same one ID you have there. Perfect. So now if we go back to our data hub, and then you make a selection, you execute it, you see we have the data. Everything is using PowerShell. The same thing, we can monitor it. I know we have time constraint, guys. We cannot go too much. I have to leave sometimes for you to ask question. The same thing, guys, we could have, pause that using this script, right? Which is Azure suspend that easy Synapse SQL pool. You just pass the workspace name, and then you pass your SQL pool, and then you will see you just need to return the status. And if you want to resume it, you put resume in front of this easy Synapse SQL pool, and same thing. And if you want to remove it, so you can remove it. You in case if you probably wondering, can we create, for example, Spark pool? We can also create Spark pool. What I like about Spark pool, it's allow you to provide the number of nodes you want, and you have the auto pause for right. So if there's no action occur, how much time you need to pause. Okay, and then enable auto pause true, and then right. This is the resource name. This is the sorry, the Spark pool, the way you're gonna name it. Okay, and then this is the workspace name, right? So if you execute this, I think this is irrelevant. Ignore this. I didn't clean it yet. So if I go and execute this, I will be able, for example, to maintain this, right? So if you're looking at here, these are, for example, some of the roles you can go and create against your storage. We have time. I wanna, finish. When it comes, for example, to Azure Resource Management, for REST API, it's Portal is great for learner, Portal. But for automation, yes, I do understand we can leverage Azure, PowerShell, and CLI. However, we just provisions a couple of resources. With that said, I would not really encourage you to leverage PowerShell just for provisioning. So if the need is just for provisioning, I would highly suggest you to take a look at Bicep. But for automation, yes, and administration, we can think of PowerShell. So with that said, I'd like to say thank you to all attendees, and thank you to all organizers.